So let's talk about what it's like being an amateur rider and trying to compete, against other amateurs. Um, not only at local but national level events as well. It's kind of interesting. It's definitely difficult. Um, I think the amateur class is, I don't know, it's kind of a hard spot because the variety of riders it's huge. There's such a wide variety of skill level out there, and in like an open amateur class, you know everybody's competing against everybody else, and you can be anywhere from beginner level to expert level. About ready to enter into the pro class. So you've got guys that it's your first enduro cross ever, and you've got guys that have been doing it for years, trying to get around to the races and stuff like that. It takes a lot of commitment, and it can definitely be rough sometimes. You're traveling long drives because you can't afford to fly, and you don't have anybody to really take your bike for you, so you have to just try to load as many guys as you can into a truck and split fuel as many ways as you can and hotel as many ways as you can, and take shifts driving and everything else, so you can try to get to a lot of these farther away races depending on where you live. And then how many amateurs have a home track to practice on? There's not very many. There's a few of us out there that have one. We've put a lot of time and effort and everything into it, so that way we have something to practice on to try to build a better skill level, so we can compete with guys that are, some of the top guys in the amateur class. If you don't have a home track, you're at a pretty good disadvantage because you don't really have anything to practice on. So you're kind of just, using whatever you can find in the woods, which unfortunately it just doesn't have the same intensity as, going out and burning laps around a track. And so, with that being said, there's just other battles that you have, as you're traveling to these races, driving there. You have things, sometimes your truck breaks down or your trailer breaks down, you bust leaf springs, you have wheel bearings that go out. Flat tires. It can be the simplest thing that can stop you from getting there, or really slow your trip down. And so it gets kind of tough because you find yourself on the side of the road trying to work on something, and a lot of the time you're just really thankful that you left a little bit early that day so you have the time to actually fix something and still make the event. And it's expensive being an amateur because everything's out of pocket. Like, all your fuel's out of pocket, your hotel, any repairs that you have to do on the road, and then that's just getting there. That doesn't include all your bike maintenance and parts and tires and everything that you have to have. Sometimes you can get your local shops and stuff like that, or buddies that that are in the industry to help you out. And I have a lot of friends actually in the industry that help me out quite a bit, so that makes it easier. But some people don't have anything as far as support or anything goes. So the ones that do, the few of us that have support from shops and different places, it's really appreciated, and it helps out quite a bit because it's anything, anywhere from a 10% discount to a 40% discount off of parts and accessories and stuff like that for your bike or whatever it is, oils, stuff like that. All that stuff helps, and it adds up over time. So it definitely makes a big difference. But yeah, it's tough showing up, and you're showing up to compete against guys from all over the country. And that's just in the amateur class. Like, I can only imagine what the pro class is like. But for us amateurs, it's a lot of people don't really see what it takes to get there. You know, they show up and they look at a lot of amateur riders and they're like, man, these guys suck compared to the pro guys, you know. And there's a few out there that kind of shine and stand out and everything in the amateur classes, but for the most part, you know, we make up a lot of the show, but it's, you know, people come mainly to watch the pro riders and stuff like that, and they don't really think about, you know, all these guys that are out here racing, making up the rest of the show. What did it take for them to get there? You know, and I mean, because you got to take time off of work to travel, you know, so then you're losing days pay, you know, which affects you later on when it comes time to pay the bills. You know, your check's a lot shorter, and so, you know, trying to save up the money or whatever you got to do to try to make it to these races it's tough sometimes, and just not a lot of people really see that side of it. So I kind of just decided I'll make this video and just kind of talk a little bit about what it's like to be an amateur, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of a struggle. It's but I mean, it's, at the same time, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you know, if it wasn't for a lot of the amateur riders and vet riders and stuff like that, I mean, there wouldn't really be much of a sport. It's funny because endurocross is kind of I think it's like a love-hate relationship. It's different. You know, you go out there and it's funny because a lot of people complain, you know, that, oh, you know, endurocross, it's, you know, it's $100 entry fee, and you only get like a total of like half an hour on the track, and that's all you get. So you're paying like $100 for half an hour of riding. Like, that's not very much riding, but at the same time, it's like, dude, go out on the endurocross track and do 5 laps and then tell me how you feel. Like, once you go out and you do your practice, and then you do your time practice, and then you do your qualifier, and then if you don't make it through in the qualifier, then you got to go in the LCQ. So, you know, every time you're out there, you're running, most of the time you're running anywhere from 4 to 5 laps. And so, you know, it's, by the time you're done, you're smoked. And I mean, do you really even want to ride anymore? You know, and so it's, yeah, I think it's definitely a love-hate relationship in a way. Like, it's a ton of fun. It's a huge challenge. But it's super tiring too. So you know, when you go out, by the time it's all said and done, you're actually kind of glad to be off the track and done and it's over with, because it's rough sometimes. You know, if your physical fitness isn't there, I mean, being an amateur rider, you don't really have the opportunity to go. You can't hit the gym 7 days a week and be on your bike 7 days a week. You know, you got to go work at least an 8-hour shift every day, and you work 5 days a week, and then you get 2 days off, and then on your 2 days off, you're kind of wanting to try to relax from the work week, and so it makes it really tough to want to go out and try to hammer out laps on your home track or whatever you got to work with. It's tough to go out and want to, you know, put down laps and then also go into the gym and do a workout, you know, several days a week, and try to go work out after work and stuff like that. It makes it pretty tough. So just for the regular working class, you know, guy that's out there, or girl that's trying to make it, it's definitely a lot of work. I mean, you have to really, really want it, and because, yeah, I mean, if your physical fitness isn't there, then you really have a big disadvantage as far as trying to compete goes, because you might get about 2 solid laps in, and then after lap 2, you know, you start falling off, and then you're pretty much done. Like, if you can't hang on and you can't, you know, push until you hit about, if you can hang on to at least lap 4, and then that's when you start to struggle a little bit, you have a fair shot. But for the most part, I mean, if you're starting to fall off on lap 2, you're going to just lose positions and just drop back, and then it's going to be what it is. But all in all, it's rough sometimes, but it's a hell of an adventure, and it's definitely a lot of fun.